Classic Season of Discovery is just on the horizon, but before we can start creating our characters and level all the way up to 25, then I would like to share some tips and tricks with you. If I've currently just got to a new location where I plan to quest anytime soon, but I gotta go back to another zone to hand in a quest, then what I usually do is to change my Heartstone just as I'm about to cast it. This way I will teleport back to the original location, but my Heartstone will now also be bound to the new location. This can be quite time saving and definitely a useful trick. As you're leveling up, and by the time you unlock an AoE ability, then this spell will help you a ton. With an AoE ability, you can split pull. So if you don't use an AoE ability like I do in this case, then all of them will be linked together. But the problem with a single target spell is that all of these will now also evade at the exact same time because they're linked together. But when you pull these with an AoE ability, then they're no longer linked together because they were attacked at the exact same time. This allows you to just continue attacking one of these enemies and drag them away, and at some point the remaining enemies will evade and then you can kill the one that you are supposed to kill. This trick I used so many times on my way to level 60 in hardcore, and in Season of Discovery I'll still be doing this as I'm going to save a ton of time where I don't have to deal with 4 enemies but just 1. An important aspect of the game is of course the economy, and as you're leveling up, and if you don't really need an item or if it's a minor upgrade, then I would rather just choose the most expensive one, as this will reward you a lot of gold in the end. Yeah, I know in the beginning it's not going to be a big thing, but then again, if you do this all the way up to 25, then you will have a lot of additional gold that you can now use on higher level green or blue items. Another reason why I do this is so I can afford to purchase a bag even quicker, because having a bag early on will allow you to collect even more gold. So what I usually do is try to see if I can afford 1 or 2 additional bags beside my backpack. Another thing you could do would be to go to the auction house, but then again, at the fresh launch there's not gonna be anything on the auction house yet. So why is it important to get these bags early on? Well, if you just use your backpack, then you can maybe be away from the town for 20 minutes and then you'll have full inventory, and maybe you even need to destroy items to make room for quest items. With more bags, you don't have to go back to the town all the time, and this will not only save you time, you can now also collect more things, and when you then go back, you can vendor a lot more items. Ever since the release of Classic 2019, Season of Mastery and later on Hardcore, then the best way to make gold for me was to pick up skinning. When there's thousands of people leveling in a zone, then there will be dead creatures all over the place. So as you're leveling up, then you can also skin what they're killing. I know this will have an impact on your leveling speed, so if you plan to rush to 25, then you shouldn't be picking skinning. But if you don't need to rush, then as you're leveling up, and by the time you're level 15, then you'll most likely have made more than 10 gold because of this. And by the time you reach level 25, you're probably looking at 20 to 30 gold. So even though the leveling speed will be a bit slower, then you have also made more gold compared to another player who reaches 25 and who will then need to farm a lot of gold just to get to the point where you're at. And then you can also skin all the creatures you kill at level 25 when you for example need to farm more gold. If you would like to level up efficiently and get many characters to 25 in next to no time, then Rested Experience Leveling Add-on is an amazing guide. It will guide you through the best possible questing route, in the future also help you collect many of your different runes that you need, and a ton of other things. The benefit of this is that you can get many characters to max level in next to no time, and therefore also discover all the new class changes and hopefully also find your new main. To the left you can see the current step you're at and what you will need to do in the upcoming task. On your map and minimap there will also be displayed different numbers. These indicates where you will need to head to next, but also where you do a certain quest. On top of this, there's also a quick targeting you can press on, and this will mark but also target the NPC you either need to kill or interact with. This add-on comes in 2 different variations, a free version and a paid version. The free version is so you can test it out and do a couple of levels, and the full version will work all the way up to max level, and whenever they implement a new phase, then you can continue to use this to level efficiently to the new max level. No matter what you choose, then you can test this add-on out yourself by using the link below the video. And if you plan to purchase the full version, then you can also use my discount code GUIDEMMO. What I often do is to skip professions as I'm leveling up, at least if I try to rush to max level. But this time it's only gonna be level 25, so in my opinion it would be a good decision to pick up your gather professions from the beginning. Why I mention this is because in the beginning some people will try to race to 25 and not pick up any professions. But when it's only level 25, then it's a matter of time before they will get to max level and then pick up professions. But one thing that will be so different when it's only level 25 is that you won't have access to many different zones where you can farm. So the zones will probably feel a lot more crowded, or there will be more competition for the different materials. So in the beginning, when people are leveling to 25 without professions, then there won't be as much competition, and this is what you should take advantage of. So when you get to max level, you can mine everything and you don't have to go back to the starting zones, which might be crowded with a lot of people leveling up professions. Here's an additional tip. When you level up your profession, make sure not to train everything. Just get the necessary things that will get you to max level. Whenever I level up a character, then in between level 1 to 12 I like to swap in between different starting areas. So as a human, I would not just do Elven Forest and then move on to Westfall. If I did this, then I would all of a sudden also have to deal with way too difficult creatures. Yeah, maybe at level 10 I could do a couple of quests in Westfall, but all of a sudden these would also be level 13, 14 or maybe even above. So what I usually do is to get to level 10 and then swap to another zone. In this case the Dwarf and Gnome starting zone. When you do something like this, then all the quests will be fairly easy and you still gain an insane amount of experience. And by the time you have finished it, you will also be level 12 or 13, the ideal level for example doing Westfall. And then your leveling will be a lot more efficient all the way up to 25, instead of having to farm for many levels because you're out of quests. Talking about questing, then sometimes you might also have to deal with an elite. What I do in this case is to drag it to a nearby guard. If I do more than 50% of the total health of the target, then I will also get credit, even though the guard is helping me. So elite quests will also be easier because you do something like this. And when you combine this trick together with the profession skinning, but also a lot of nearby beasts, then you just drag them, you kill them, grants experience, loot, and even the possibility to skin the creatures as well. Definitely a win-win situation. In a moment I will show you a lot more tips and tricks, but before I do this, then I would also like to let you know that I'm currently working on a lot more classic Season of Discovery videos. So if you're interested in this kind of content, then make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. On my channel you can also find a ton of videos, for example my class picking guide. As a Horde player, I would highly recommend you to go to the Undead starting zone. Here you can pick up a quest, a new plague. This will reward you with 5 slumber sand, an insane quest reward that allow you to CC a target. What it does is to put a target to sleep for 20 seconds. This can be useful when you for example need to do an elite quest or many creatures at the same time, for example in a dungeon or even a raid. When you leave the Orc and Troll starting area, you get to another quest area where you can pick up a quest that rewards you the really sticky glue. You'll get a total of 10 charges, and this is also a quest item I would definitely keep for later on. For example, when I had to PvP in Ashenvale or attend my first high level dungeon. As an Alliance player, you can go to Red Ridge and do the quest Selling Fish. This will reward you with 3 different items, one of these being insanely good, as it increases your attack speed by 10% for 30 seconds. You should never turn your back against the targets, or they might end up dazing you. When you get dazed, your movement speed is also reduced by 50% for 4 seconds. This can be so deadly. So what I would recommend you to do instead is just to strafe around. By default, your strafing keys will be Q and E. These should instead be changed to A and D, as it allows you to do the movement a lot easier. So now when I press A and D, I will either move to the left or to the right. So if you spam your A and D buttons, it will look like this. Next you need to combine this together with pressing your jump button. But when you're jumping, then you don't want to press A or it will look like this. That's not the move we're looking for. Instead you should press your jump and then either A or D at the same time. By doing this you will jump and also be moving a lot to the side. The reason why this is important to do is because you might get stunned or rooted. and when this happens mid-air, then you'll still be traveling in the direction. But to make the strafing even better, then we're sadly not done yet. What you need to do now is to also combine it together with your camera. So by holding down your right click at the same time as you're doing your strafing. This allows you not just to jump to the left or to the right, but also for example backwards at the same time. So you'll not be turning your back against the targets, you'll be moving with a fast speed, pretty much as fast as if you were just running, and you can also shoot at the same time. Super useful to get away or just to kite. Whenever I'm fighting a ranged target or a caster, then what I like to do is take advantage of different objects that works as a line of sight. This will force the enemy to get close to you to be able to continue attacking. When they get close to you, you simply use your abilities and then you hide behind another object. That way you'll prevent a ton of damage, you can easily kill the ranged target and get your loot. By default, you won't be able to zoom out far. This can easily be changed by going to Options, Graphics, and then search for Max Camera Distance. This you'll then change to the max settings. Now you will be able to zoom out further, but this is not the max settings. Because with a macro like this, you can zoom out even further. All you need to do is just to make a new macro and copy paste this in. I'll leave the entire thing in the description so you can easily do this yourself. And remember, whenever you kill something, and if it drops a white material, then this is used for something in a profession. And all the meat you find, you should definitely keep or use for your own cooking, because meat can easily be sold on the auction house. Whenever I'm leveling, then I always make sure I'm also making a bank character. So if my inventory is full, then I can send these items to a bank character, post them on the auction house, or later on return them to my main. Whenever I'm leveling up a caster, then one of my priorities is to get a wand as quickly as possible, either on the auction house, crafting it as an enchanter, or going to one of the main cities where you can find a wand vendor. For example in Undercity or Okroma as a horde, or Stormwind City and Ironforge as an alliance. Or like I mentioned, purchase a wand on the auction house, either a lesser or greater one. And these you craft as an enchanter, so this is also such a great way in the beginning to make a ton of gold. And remember to always pay attention to any nearby rares in the open world. They have a high chance of dropping a green item, a bag, or something else that will be useful. As of right now, I'm working on a ton of different classic Season of Discovery guides, in fact even a tips and tricks part 2. So remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when I post these videos, and also help me reach 30,000 subscribers. As always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace!